Okay, so now we're up to the part which I sometimes find the most difficult actually, is where recording myself playing into the GarageBand. And that's because, you know, it's actually quite tricky to listen to yourself play sometimes, and it's hard to get every note correct. And I do try to not have to edit it too much, because that's a big job in itself. So I do try to keep the tracks as, you know, close to what I want them to be as possible. So when you're wanting to add an instrument, a live instrument, it's a bit like what we did with the iPad. You just press that little plus sign there, add a new track. Now this time we're using our microphone again, and I'll show you what my microphone looks like in a moment. So I actually plug that straight into the laptop, and that becomes the input here. So we create that. So it doesn't like that because I've got no headphones plugged in. Turn it right down so that doesn't bother us as much. Now what I do again, I choose the acoustic guitar setting. So if you go into that one, you go into natural stereo, that usually sounds a little bit better. And that's the setting there. And you've got all of these little controls down the bottom here. So this one, the compressor, I might zoom this in a little bit for you. I'll do that again in a moment. Okay, so it's a little bit bigger now. And you can see there's quite a few controls down the bottom there. So I admit I am still learning how to use all of these, so I'm just guided mainly by my ear at the moment. So the compressor, I usually just set that to the middle. I adjust this a little bit later. This low cut here, I usually just have that on the middle. Everything here I just usually just bring to the middle. High, sometimes I do bring it down a little bit. This one here, I usually spin that right around to low because I found that sounded better. And then with the reverb and the ambience, I don't put much on because it can make it sound a little bit like you're playing in a tunnel if there's too much on there. The EQ, that button there, that's important too, because sometimes at the bottom end and the top end you can have a little bit of noise, so I usually just drag these over like that. And then once I record the tracks, you can see, I'll show you that in a moment, I'll show you once I've recorded them, because you can see each one, it analyses what's happening, so you can then adjust the EQ further. But basically that's all I usually do, and then I'll just keep adding the same track over and over, so you're just adding a new track each time. Again, I will pan it once I've got them all there, and so I might just skip over to the one I prepared earlier. Okay, so now you can see I've got all of these blue lines with all these wiggly notes on it, and they are all violin tracks. So I've recorded lots and lots of them. I probably will try to combine those. I just did a rough version just to get started. But you can see I've sort of got ones here, so it goes for the whole thing. If you wanted to swipe quicker, you can actually change this up here. That makes it smaller, so you can see it a little bit easier. Anyway, that's all of the violin parts. So some of them are just little bits of parts. Some of them are long parts, but you can see the idea anyway. So if I go to track, that'll show me the EQ on that track. So this is where I've already adjusted it. Okay, so say if I do it on this track here, I'll just show you what happens if you play it. So hopefully you can hear it. And I'll just put that analyzer on, and you can actually see me talking. That's actually, so it's already picking that up when I talk. So you can see there's sort of places where it wiggles a little bit more, where you've got a little bit more sound coming through. Generally, if that goes above that line, I'll take it down a little bit. So I'll just use this little thing here to take down a bit of the 200, and then that lowers that frequency, which I find makes it sound a little bit better sometimes, but again, I'm just guided by my ear. Anyway, that's about all. When I do the wrap up, I'll play the music in the background so you can hear the final version.